Welcome back to the Millcreek Government Channel. I'm Jessica James Stutzman. The Anna Shelter is a nonprofit organization committed to providing lost and stray pets a safe, nurturing environment where pets are reunited with their owners or placed into a new, loving, responsible home. I know you will recognize our next guest that we've invited into the studio today. She is the heart and soul, as well as the director for the beloved Anna Shelter, Ruth Thompson. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks. That was a really nice nice way to bring me up. I appreciate that.
Well,
it means a lot to me.
Oh, thanks. Well, you guys know how much I love your organization, and I want you to be able to, share your mission and, how you guys got started here in Erie and, why this meant so much to you.
Awesome. And I can say, on a personal note, you and your family have made a difference to quite a few dogs that have been Anna Shelter alumni. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. Well, of course. I mean, and, I don't want to go too much into our own backstory, but, we rescued a dog, and I would say if it weren't for you guys, she wouldn't be alive. She wouldn't have made it to where she is today.
Unfortunately, that's true of so many that come through our doors. But the same thing on the flip side, if it weren't for people like you willing to then adopt them, I would just have hundreds of thousands of dogs with no home. So so I think we definitely need each other.
Mm-hmm. And what does the Anna Shelter stand for?
The acronym stands for the Association for Needy and Neglected Animals. It wasn't supposed to be an acronym. It was kind of a funny story on how that happened. It was actually named after a dog that I had personally rescued prior to my having the shelter. And her name was Anna. And I remember promising her that if I ever did something someday to help other animals like her, I would dedicate the shelter to her. Funny story, but it got put in as an acronym when we did our 501c3. So when I got the IRS letter asking what it stood for, I was quick on my feet and came up with the Association for Needy and Neglected Animals, so it fits.
Of course. And what year did you guys start?
2004 is when we were incorporated. Probably a year prior to that, it was kind of happening, but not the brick and mortar that it is today.
Mm-hmm. And why is Anna Shelter different from other shelters? What makes it so special to you?
To me, certainly because it is very personal. And I can't take it that way all the time, but I do. I take everything that happens there is, like you said, it is my heart and soul. So I appreciate that shows to the general public. I think what I like best about our shelter is we are private. So that means there really isn't a governing board. Besides our board of directors, we don't belong to the Federated Humane Societies or to any other larger group. And I understand where that's beneficial to some places, but for me, it was just important to me that we would be able to come up with our own policies and our own procedures and not have someone else dictating what we do, when we do, and how we do it. So I think that makes us different. We are one of the only no-kill facilities in this area. And when I say no-kill, I hate the term, but it does mean that every animal is given the best chance that we possibly can. There's no space limit, no time limit. So I think that does help us in our mission.
Yeah, and I think that's so important too, because with some of your extremely bad cases that have come through, I've heard you say, other shelters, maybe in other states, surrounding states that are nearby, this one's just too far off, it can't be rescued, whereas I know you don't look at it that way.
Right, exactly. We have been blessed with having veterinarians on staff, which has been over the last 6 years, has made a huge difference in what we're capable of doing. Whereas at one point, we'd have to raise $1,000. Now we can have our staff veterinarian do it. So we're able to save more animals with less money, which does help. But yeah, we've done so many things that I find extreme. So we do have extraneous medical budget, amputations, mass removals, eye removals. The dog in particular that you adopted came in just deplorable condition. Probably anywhere else would have been euthanized. And like I said, that's just something that, if we can help, that's what we're there to do. So our staff is amazing and dedicated. Our volunteers are fantastic. Without them, and the support of our community, it just wouldn't happen. So. And
I do want to get into that, the support of the community and your volunteers. But the first thing I want to ask you is, I know it's grown a lot since 2004. So tell me at this point, what types of animals, do you accept at the shelter?
It's crazy. When you say it's grown, I never in a million years. I imagine this little place where I'd help animals and rose-colored rose-colored glasses, how great it was going to be. And it has completely taken on a life of its own. Again, just really blessed with the community that's embraced us the way it has. Dogs and cats were our primary focus. Right now at the shelter, we have guinea pigs, we have a turtle. Essentially anything that needs us, we take on. 4 years ago, we were really, again, blessed to meet Dr. Roseberry and his wife. And one of the best equine vets in the tri-state area, and he is known for his work with horses. They had a beautiful facility, approached us with the idea of, hey, let's do something for horses. I have horses of my own personally. We were involved with a puppy mill raid downstate, and there was a pony. Well, amongst all these puppies and dogs was this decrepit pony. I didn't think anything of it. I said, yeah, great, we'll take it. So we loaded it up with everything, not realizing that the place I boarded my horse didn't want a lice-filled, disease-filled pony. So finding a place to put that pony, and then meeting the Roseberries at kind of the equine center took on a life of its own. And that has been fantastic. We've been able, we've had over 70 horses through rescue, goats, pigs, farm animals, so you name it, we've been able to help them as well. So that was a pretty cool thing, and that place I'm really proud of. It has again done so much for the horse community and the farm animals that didn't have a resource before.
And I like that, and that's why I wanted to touch on specifically what animals you take, the turtles and guinea pigs and things like that, because to me, when I think of a shelter, I think of dogs and cats, and unfortunately, you think of them being neglected or abused. That's the first thing that comes to mind. But certainly other types of farm animals, livestock, horses.
Absolutely, need the help.
Need help.
Yeah, so we try with the small animals, we can take owner surrenders. With the large animals though, because they are a lot more expensive to take care of, we do limit intake on those. And you wouldn't believe the number that are abandoned, or we work with state police when they're doing seizures on properties. We've literally had horses, recently had a horse hit by a car, just out wandering around, no one claimed it. So, crazy things like that, where I think to myself, like, this horse belongs to somebody, you know. But thankfully they get rehabilitated and then replaced. That works out.
That's absolutely beautiful. I mean,
Thanks.
And so it's not just, people looking for, a dog that they need to save, but,
anything.
larger animals
If
too.
you're looking for it, we've got a wanted, we say wanted breeds, but we just had 2 chinchillas come through the shelter. You name it. With the strangest thing, I've had alligators. I had a parrot, I had a monkey, things that need our help, that's what we're there for. So we don't limit to dogs and cats. Certainly that's our largest intake, but not limited.
And what is the intake? How many animals do you think you have right now at the shelter?
I can tell you exactly how many animals we have right now. We have 63 dogs that are under our care. We have 109 cats that are in our care. We do inventory once a week, so I get our weekly numbers. Thankfully, right now in rescue, we only have 1 horse, and the 4 guinea pigs and the turtle are what we have in-house right now. So we tend to hover right around 50 to 80 dogs. I know that's a wide average, but that's our average. Cats, unfortunately, always range right around 100. A
little bit higher.
Yeah, cats, in August, we did a cat sale, as bad as that sounds. We did all our cat adoptions for $25. So we adopted out 72 cats.
Oh, great.
The month of August. So we do things like that just to try to keep our numbers moving. We have a really aggressive adoption program. We're in the PetSmart store here locally. We do adoption events all over the city and county. If we're welcome to bring animals, we do. So we do things like this. We're on television with Adopt a Pet twice a week. We do a radio spot once a week. Our Facebook presence, our website. So we're constantly trying to move these animals to make room for more. And it's one of those crazy things. We'll have a fantastic adoption week and adopt out 30, but then I look at intake and it was 17. So it's kind of like one of those.
You take 5 steps forward.
Yeah, exactly. Never ending.
So I know that we have to have, I would say, at least 150 viewers out there who need to come to the shelter.
Yes, that would be
adopt
awesome.
some animals.
And spread the word. If you can't adopt, talk about it. Share our posts on Facebook.
Right.
That's a great resource if you can help us with that.
Yeah, and what are the hours of the shelter? So if somebody wants to come by and check out a pet, they've seen one on your website. You do a great job of posting the new pets or
Thank you.
new adoptions on the website.
We are open every day to the public. The only day we do not do adoptions is Sunday. That is a day that I kind of give our girls a little bit of a break. We're open from noon to 5 every day, with Monday and Wednesday being our later day. We're open until 7. I've had people ask me, why don't you open in the morning? That's when our cleaning time is. We start there's always a staff member in the building from 8 in the morning till 8 at night, and then we have someone on the evening that's on call to the animals and to the staff if we need someone to come in during the night. But otherwise, there's always staff in the building. But to be open to the public, obviously, I need more than just 2 people walking through that big building. So those were our hours. Again, noon to 5, noon to 7, those other 2 days. And then Sundays, we have no adoptions, so not open to the public.
Okay, and so if I were interested in a dog, what would I need to do as far as the adoption process goes? What would I need to do if I were, came through, I found my dog, Kona, and what did I have to do to get her?
Yes, you came with your mom, who is beloved at the shelter because she's one of our favorite adopters.
Yeah,
so,
we frequent the shelter.
Right, so we kind of were like, yeah, you're going to be good. But otherwise, what everybody has to do is fill out an application. It's a 2-page application. The most important thing to me is the interview process. What we do is we have one of our adoption counselors spend time with you and with the pet, just to make sure that there's a good click and a good fit. I can't tell you how many times people come in with a picture off the internet.
Yes.
And they'll say, I want this dog. And they end up leaving with a different one.
Yes.
Because
we did that actually the first time.
Oh, really? Okay, awesome. Because it's exactly it. I mean, they all have personalities, and just like people, you're going to click with somebody.
Right.
Especially in our cat rooms, we have community rooms for the cats, and I'll tell people, like, go in there and spend an hour. Go from room to room and let somebody pick you. I think that's so important. So that's a big deal to us, to make sure that that connection is there and that fit. Once we verify everything on your application, make sure that everything checks out correct for what you put on there. And if there's concerns, we talk about them. We're not judgmental. We want to find out what your situation is, make sure it's a good situation for both you and the pet. Most dogs and cats do go home the same day, as long as everything checks out on your application and it's a good fit. And then we do 2 follow-ups. We check in with you usually a week later, and then usually about a month later, just to make sure that everybody's happy.
Right. Or in my case, I just email you weekly with
I
pictures.
love it. No, I like I was saying in the hallway, it's literally things like that that keep me going, because there are so many things at the shelter that are really hard to see and are really hard to deal with, and our staff is so good about that. If you could see half the stuff, very rarely do I share on Facebook. It'll have to be either a really bad situation or something I really get enraged about and I want the public to see, or just something I'm passionate about I want to share. But it's literally, if not every day, at least a couple times a week, that the girls are dealing with something that nobody wants to deal with. So it's reading those happy tales, looking on Facebook and seeing somebody say, like, hey, here's my dog I adopted 2 years ago, we love it. That's what keeps me going. And I share that with our staff, and we talk about it at break, and and that's what keeps us going. Somebody will be, I was just at the ice cream place in Waterford the other day, and I recognized the leash and collar, not necessarily the dog, but I was like, is that dog from the animal shelter? And right away, that's what I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm supposed to be doing this. It's that last element of it that keeps us all motivated.
Right. And and at least for us, and I don't know if this is just because it's particular to me, but I mean, for us, you provided us with our child, our baby.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not just a pet to us, and I think a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
And people and your fundraisers are amazing because you allow the dogs to come back with their owners. It's not just an owner only fundraiser, but to be able to bring your dog back and show them off, and like I said, for us, it's our fur baby.
Yeah.
So for
And
you just provided another member to our family.
Absolutely. And that alumni feeling, like, once an Anna dog, always an Anna dog, or Anna rabbit, whatever you happen to be. But I mean, you're always welcome back in our doors, and we love that. And it's so good for our staff to see that, and for them to feel good about what they do, because it's a really tough job,
Right.
so.
Right. And so if someone were to adopt a cat or a dog, what are usually the fees associated with that?
Anywhere from $55 to around $150. We do have, and I'm glad you asked me that, because we do have what we call a VIP adoption rate. And I really struggled with that. I blog with a lot of shelter directors, which is so nice to have somebody that gets what you're going through. And I had a guy come in, really wanted it was a Yorkie, and really wanted that dog for his mom, and the mom loved it. Well, someone else had been in earlier. It's certainly not first come, first serve, but a great home had come in. We're literally filling out the paperwork, and this guy comes in, would have probably been another excellent home, but there's one dog. So he starts this bidding war. He says, well, I'll give you $500 for the dog. And I'm like, no, wait, this isn't what it's about, So, but that's when I realized there is a reality to the fact that, these animals are what help us fund the shelter. Just because we're a great group of people, National Fuel doesn't waive our gas bill, So there's a reality to it. So we instituted a VIP pet policy. So a dog like that Yorkie, certainly we don't do $500 adoption fees, but we will maybe go up to $250. Since the average adoption, Rhiannon, who's the dog I brought with me today, she has 2 strikes against her. She's a pit bull and she's black. So those are statistically not good for you at a shelter. She's already been with us 2 months. Most likely will be with us another 2 months. Maybe today this will be a little push to get her out. But so a dog like that versus a dog like a Yorkie that I've got 10 people that really want it. So we did institute the VIP adoption. So that extra $100 in that adoption fee helps a dog like Rhiannon. And so we try to explain that. And honestly, at first when we did it, I thought, oh my gosh, people are gonna, balk at this. And people were great. I mean, they get it. They understand that this is how it is. And I'm not charging, $900 or something, which you'd see at a pet store or on Craigslist or something. But it's the fact that, there are bills to pay. And if we can help out, dogs that are, I even hate to say less desirable, but you know what I mean?
You're right. When they have those 2 strikes against you or against them, like you said, the pit bull has that stereotype, but so do black dogs. And that was the first dog we adopted, that my mother adopted, and it was a black border collie.
Right.
And I actually don't understand why there's the stereotype against the black dogs.
It's a nationwide.
They're beautiful.
Right.
I mean, they're absolutely stunning. I think, like you said with the cats, I think you need to go sit in one of the playpens with one of the black dogs, because there is nothing. They're not scary. They're not.
I know, and it's actually called the big black dog syndrome.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, and it's crazy because other shelters, obviously, you go through what we go through, but they do. I actually have a friend who runs a shelter in Canada, and she has all her black dogs are half, their adoption fee is half, just to try to move them, which is sad. So like I said, that VIP adoption, I did struggle with it before I did it. I mean, we keep it within reason. We don't ever jack it up to an outrageous amount of money, but it works too with the horse rescue. Something that's a pasture pet, we could adopt out for a lot less money than something that's going to be a rideable, usable, horse someday.
Yeah,
so we do the same thing there.
So I don't want to forget to mention our buddy here. Can you tell us, again, the name of the dog? It's a girl, right?
Yeah, it's a girl. And
Okay.
before I leave, we'll get her out so you guys can see her. She's actually very sweet, laying behind she came from a bad situation. She did not think people were that great when she first came to us. Zero aggression. She is probably one of the sweetest dogs I've been around. If I needed another dog, which I don't, she would be a contender to come to my house. Zero prey drive, very, very sweet, gets along great with other dogs, with everybody she meets. But again, came from a bad situation where she didn't really think people were the greatest thing. Doesn't want to be mean to people, just doesn't want to be around them. So, but again, she's black and she's a pit bull. So, but we have been working with her. Again, staff and volunteers get her out. We get her socialized. That's why she's here with me today.
Right.
She goes to senior home visits with us. No concern at all about us with her being around children or people, but not children or people, it sounded bad. Little people versus big people. No concern about that at all. But she just has to learn that the rest of the world out there is okay.
Right.
And just to see her today walking in here, kind of like checking things out, before we would literally be dragging her. She'd be like, no, no,
and she was swarmed by people in the hallway, and she did very well.
She's just figuring it out. Even in the car on the way up here, she was trying to get on my lap, and she was kissing me one-on-one. She's amazing.
Yeah.
But the world has not been so kind to her in her first 3 years. So
she's peeking her head out right here. I knew I was going to be distracted at some point.
Are you talking about me? But she's absolutely beautiful.
She is so sweet. I can't wait to show you guys.
No? Okay.
I can't wait to show you guys. She is beautiful.
She's a really, really good dog.
Sweet.
So hopefully,
these beautiful brown eyes looking at me right now.
So hopefully she gets a home soon. But yeah, it's somebody like her that, like I said, she's got, unfortunately, a lot of strikes against her. Like Kona, the dog you adopted, had a lot of strikes against her. So it's going to take a special person like you to see through that. And when you're faced with 40 dogs for adoption, and everybody else is like vying for your attention, and then there's a dog like her that's in the corner of her kennel, kind of giving you the eye, like not sure. You pass her up. So.
And I think with Kona, and I think like this dog, I think, you mentioned the type of person that needs to adopt these kinds of dogs. I think you have to, I think you have to want the underdog. You want to root for them. You want to take care of them.
Right.
For my situation, my cat had just passed away. She was 17 years old. And so I always tell people Kona rescued us just as much as we rescued her. So,
I definitely think so. And I think somebody with, some patience and, giving her some time. I honestly believe in a home within a couple weeks, we're going to see a huge difference in her personality. Just on the car ride up here, she was already kind of like, okay, this is kind of cool. It's me and you. I'm safe, you know. But yeah, she's fantastic. I love her.
Yeah, and that's what I want to get into is what can people expect if it's their first time maybe adopting a dog or first time, actually first time ever as a pet owner. What should they expect?
A lot of work. We always say it is like bringing home a baby. Personally, for me, puppies are hard because my lifestyle, I don't have babies for that reason, human babies, so I couldn't do a puppy. So puppies are hard, and that's one of the ones I always stress when someone's adopting a puppy. I mean, you were literally bringing home an infant. You know, are you ready for that? Like you talked about, your dog's 4:30 in the morning habit.
Yes.
I mean, they are animals. They have behavior. They have instinct. So all of that stuff is stuff to deal with. We do go over all of that in your adoption interview process. I get as basic as saying to people, you know, this is a dog with teeth and nails. You know, are you prepared for that? It could bite, it could scratch. Certainly, we don't adopt out an animal that has the propensity to do that because we're working with them with behavior modification. But recently I had a gentleman adopt a dog and the dog tore the siding off their house. They were in the backyard, everybody was having a great time. They look over and the dog's pulling the siding off their house. You know, we had another dog with an anxiety issue. They locked him in the laundry room. They all left for the evening. They came back and he had broken through the door, ripped off their mini blinds looking for them. He was like, hey, wait.
Separation
I wanna go with
anxiety.
you. Yeah. We learned that he needed to be crated when they weren't home. So, and there are things that you need to be prepared for. Vet bills can happen as soon as the next day, literally. I always like to say, I don't like this idea, but it's true. The shelter is like a daycare and a jail put together. Stress level there is high. The dogs don't want to be there. You know, they're, as hard as we try to make it homey, they're in a concrete block cell. You know, it's a cage with a kennel door on the front of it. Other dogs are barking. People are coming in and out. The laundry carts. There are things that are scary. They don't understand why they're there. And then the exposure risk of a daycare. You know, when you send your child, something with a suppressed immune system, you send it into, an area like that. One child gets pink eye, they all get pink eye. Somebody sneezes, you got 10 other ones sneezing. So exposure doesn't mean infection. So necessarily, I may be harboring the flu. You may or may not get it. I may or not get it. So, things like that. It's the same in the animal community. So people will adopt a dog and then maybe 3 days later, the dog's got kennel cough. And that's really typical. When your immune system or when your stress level is up, you're blocking off a lot of symptomatic things. You come home, like, oh, okay, this isn't so bad. I'm relaxed. Now you're going to show all your symptoms are going to come out. You're going to start sneezing, coughing. So that is something to be prepared for. If you only have the money to cover the adoption fee, you're not ready. You need to be ready for things like a vet bill. And then we talk to people about the commitment level. Most pets live an average of 10 years, and I know things change. And I know certainly my life has changed over the last 2 years. I would have never guessed I would be where I am today if you'd have asked me 2 years ago. So I understand things change, and we try to work with people when the animals have to come back. But I want them to be thinking long term. I don't want them to think like when the novelty wears off, I'm going to be done. So we talk about that. So it's a big deal to me. I've never felt that animals were people. I would never put animals on the same plane as humans. I think God gave us dominion over the animals, but to treat them well and to treat them with respect and with love, but certainly not to make them people. So I always want to make sure that people understand that as well. When they're taking an animal home, there's a lot of responsibility because there's a lot of things they can't provide for themselves that now you're going to be providing. And then you touched on it. We don't have a lot of time, so I want to make sure I get into really important topics here. But you touched on it a little bit when you said the first day you take them home, we found out Kona had very bad allergies. So can you tell me a little bit? I think
that was bad.
Probably very nice of you to say it that way. I think you had one of the dogs with probably the most issues I've seen out of the thousands of dogs I've seen. I will never forget your dog. I'll never forget the problems we had.
We'll show a picture
with
of her
your
on
dog.
the screen.
You got to do the before and after.
Yes, we'll do the before and after
because
it's 100%
nobody would
different.
believe it. Nobody would believe it otherwise.
But just quickly, tell us about your wellness center.
Yeah, the wellness center is again need-based. We were seeing so many animals come in not spayed and neutered, not altered, and that is the number one thing. Pet population, and somebody will say, "Oh, everybody wants a puppy." That's not true.
No,
and puppies turn into dogs, and then they want the puppy, but then they don't want the dog. So spay neuter was a huge thing for me. And again, just those shelter blogs that I do, talking to other directors, and they were all so into that idea. And so, those again we were operating one spay neuter clinic 1 day a month, went to 2 days a month. Now I have 3 spay neuter clinics that are open 5 days a week. So, the need is there. The nice thing too, shelter alumni get a discount, which is a really nice thing. It's low cost, high quality, so that helps the general public at large. We do dentals, we do mass removals, we do general wellness, we do sick pet visits, we do public euthanasia if your pet is getting up there. So all kinds of stuff available at those wellness centers. And again, I'm really proud of those. They have, again, taken on a life of their own.
Oh, yeah. And then the last thing I want to mention actually would be your volunteers. You couldn't do this without the volunteers, the foster parents or the people who drop off supplies.
Absolutely.
Can you touch on that quickly for us?
Community support, I mean, would not be able to do this without our community. I'm so blessed and so thankful. I mean, the Erie gives to be number 2 in the over 300 nonprofits. If that blows me away, because we have so many great nonprofits in this area. So to have the number 2 spot of people that support us, I mean, I totally know I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I see stuff like that. Yeah, donations are always appreciated. The same thing if you have time, if you can donate your time or resources, things as simple as a gallon of bleach, you know, I mean, anything like that you think, when some people say, well, I wish I had $1 million to give you, you know, it doesn't matter, whatever you can give me. And if it's your time to come in and, like you said, cuddle with a dog like Rhiannon, that's fantastic.
Yeah. And folks, I want you to go on their website, go on their Facebook page. They have a lot of amazing events. They're actually extremely fun.
Yeah, awesome.
Like I said, some for just the owners, some for the owners and the pets.
Yep.
Alumni are always welcome back. I really encourage you to go to their website, go to the Facebook page, and also go down to the shelter.
Yeah.
You don't have to adopt one, but go ahead and sit with one for a little while.
We love company.
Perfect. Thanks so much, and until next time, have a wonderful day.
You're watching the Millcreek Government Channel, powered by WQLN Public Media.